what we're reading in the book of Shemot is, in a way, the completion of the book of Genesis, or the book of Bereshit. It is argued whether it starts even in a higher place, though we are calling Genesis or Bereshit the crown, or Keter, and Shemot is to do with wisdom, or chokhmah. So the life itself, at least for the createe, or for the spirit, for the consciousness, for the consciousness of the root, which is the spirit. It's a level of consciousness which can connect itself to the power of life, to the ability to see the thought of the Creator manifesting itself in reality, in all realities, or in all the world. So, as we said, that the creation is an expression or a manifest of the will to reveal, the will of the higher, or the Creator, to reveal its actions, its name and appellation. So, as we know from that law of what the act or the path of revelation is causing, is actually concealment. So this is the story of Genesis. All the ways in which the Creator managed to conceal itself, to allow a space, a vacant space from its influence upon humans, so they can choose and build themselves in such a way that there will be a room for their choice, for their free will. So it seems that when we start the book of names, there must be something that we will be born out of that which was created, which is the will to receive, into one can say choice, or recognition, a recognition of at least the spirit or consciousness, to do with the connection of what it means to be an extended expression of the will of the Creator to bestow goodness. So, as we know, wisdom is to do with the root of the will to receive, because the extension of wisdom is to do with the content of that which the Creator wishes to give, meaning the pleasure, the life, the sight, the knowing, or the wisdom. Okay. So if all Genesis was sort of concealment in the world, in that which is, one can say, swallowed or hide in such a way so it can be found, but we must meet something that, or a power that will break all those veils or power of concealment, in order to allow revelation, or what we'll call to allow redemption from concealment, from not knowing, from not feeling. So since the root of it is to do with the will to receive, it must happen in in the largest and biggest and greatest expression of the will to receive in humanity, which is Egypt at that time and its achievement. The achievement of Egypt is not only technological, it has to do as well with wisdom of harnessing the power of nature, the power that actually has in it a direction, but this direction and intention is concealed. So as we see from the beginning of the book of names, which is as well, we need to ask ourselves why is this names. So we know that names in Kabbalistic term, it speaks about vessels, and because his name, as it sort of translates itself through gematria, meaning translates itself through the numbers, speak or actually express will. So his name, Shemot, means will. So the book of Shemot speaks about all the possible wills that will be at play through the intention of the first book to reveal itself. We'll find their expression or their presence in history, in human history, meaning in the human consciousness, which is the house of the Lord, one can say. The heart, the mind, as it joined together, is the place of, one can say, of birth of that recognition of the Creator. So let us start by sort of reading through, and we will see that we start with the names of the past, of those who went down in exile, the house of, one can say, the house of Jacob, which still had their identity. And then when they are going into Egypt, they are going into state of impregnation and forgetfulness and not knowing their name. And the only name that starts to appear is what is needed in this state of impregnation, when it's sort of come to its time, is the midwives. So the first hero with the name that actually their name is mentioned is the midwives. So what it says, what is actually implies, one can say, is that we're in the state of a late pangs of delivering, of giving birth, and something that actually is holding and need to be broken. So the water will break down. It will happen only when Israel and Egypt will cross the end, or will cross the sea. So that will happen, and that will complete the process of a birth of a new consciousness, not only through Israel or through this group of spirits, but what happened then will influence, because it happened in the greatest civilization at that time, it will influence the whole world of consciousness, the whole world of spirit. or as we would say, the whole world of humanity at that time, and it will etch itself as a memory of being born into a different sensibility of self, of freedom, and at least with the question. Yeah. So I would like us to go through it and to see it. So we start with Exodus from the beginning. Yeah. This will give it the right name, which is the names. Okay. So we're reading the book of Shemot, chapter 1. Now these are the names of the children of Israel which came into Egypt. Every man had his household that came with Jacob. And then the name Reuven, Shimon, Levi, and Yehuda, Issachar, Zvulun, and Binyamin, Dan, Naphtali, Gad, and Asher, and all the souls. Now, we need to look at the differences and from this land. Yeah, it is called the souls that came out of the loins of Jacob were 70 souls. So Joseph was in Egypt already. Yeah. So we see that the number that is important, which is the 70, is the number that is actualizing the relationship to all 7 parts or 7 sefirot of that need to be reformed. So already from finalizing the group of spirit that are going down or going in to impregnate themselves in the womb of Egypt, because Egypt is the womb of the land, which is called the womb of earth. Okay. So it's like Israel is a seed of 70, which is to do with the reformation power that impregnates Egypt with a power to include all the needs of the will to receive for itself, so it can receive but then change itself with the intention to bestow. So already we see that we cannot, from the beginning, we cannot speak about Israel without the relation to all other nations. It was born inside the womb of a civilization that includes all the consciousness of all nations in it. Okay. So this is saying that every time that something will happen with Israel, they will have to get the permission of the nations, or if one can say the permission or the willingness. Yeah. The willingness, and one can even say permission. It is true up to today. State of Israel was actually founded only when the UN and the state of what was then United Kingdom sort of agreed to the need, okay, and voted for that permission. Okay. So it starts here. Now, I would like to sort of that we will turn our attention to the fact that it is called the Exodus of Egypt and not the Exodus of Israel. So it seems that the intention was to redeem the whole, one can say, the whole construction of the will to receive. But it seems that everything that was left, or everything that was important, which is called the gold and the silver and the timber and the knowledge, everything that was important in Egypt went out with the Israelites. So it is as well the first paradigm of collecting sparks. All the sparks that were, and there were very high sparks of wisdom that were from the very high thoughts that were there from the breaking of the world and from the separation of the limbs, one can say, of Shekhinah, were actually in Egypt. So it seems that there is, at least for the Creator, it is very, very important to persuade Egypt of its existence. So all that was uttered as, which is amirot, okay, all that was uttered as a creational act turns out to be strikes to break the concealment for the consciousness of all spirits. So it is very important for the Creator to actually recruit or make Egypt a part of his presence coming through concealment to the world. Okay, so therefore we can see why we need that adding power, but the nukba, or the feminine part that is actually participating in building and delivering the Redeemer, which is Moses. So we have actually 5 powers. It's Shifra, Pu'ah, which are the midwives, the mother Yochevet, the sister Miriam, and in inclusion Bat Paro, the daughter Batia, the daughter of Pharaoh. So we see that there is always, as well, from being able to deliver this presence of the Redeemer, of Moses, we need 5 powers of the Nukba. 5 powers, or that would be 5 aspects of the light as they will reveal themselves in the action, attitude, approach of that combination of power between Bina and Malchut. Okay. So after all those seeds of all nation, as they, or the reformation of all nation, as they found their expression in the house of Jacob, which one can say sent by the Creator. Joseph was sent by the Creator to prepare and to join them with, one can say, with the argument, or to decide how it will be enacted. Would it be from involvement or from being part of all nation, or from being separated from all nation and then being able from their sovereignty to actually shed all the lights that are needed for spirit reformation. Okay. So it seems to be decided, but we will see that Moses has to go through sorting out first his identity, and we can see that already in the Redeemer identity we have this contradiction and this opposition happening, whether he's Egyptian, whether he's Hebrew, or whether he's a Midianite. And all those three powers will have to be sorted out. Okay. So, and we see that now they were aroused up. I'm reading verse 8. Now there rose up a new king over Egypt, which knew not Joseph, or chose not to know, and to ignore the part or the power of fertility that this seed of Israel added to Egypt, which made her from a barren place into a fertile place that could feed all the world, that was in hunger. So it's all, when we speak about feeding and hunger, we're speaking about spiritual hunger, knowing, meaning, hunger for meaning. So now arose up new king over Egypt, which knew not Joseph. And he said unto his people, behold, the people of the children of Israel are more and mightier than we. So I think you could see this is actually the root of the legend of Horus and Jesus, because what the Zohar is saying, this is the root of a prophecy that the Egyptian had, that someday a child, and they did not know whether he would be Hebrew or Egyptian, therefore there would be a decree to actually kill all firstborn in Egypt. He will be a firstborn, and he will inherit and he will destroy Egypt. Okay. So, and this is why they're saying, behold, the people of the children of Israel are more and mightier than we. Come on, let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply, and it come to pass that when there falleth out any war, they join also unto our enemies and fight against us, and so get them up out of the land. Therefore they did set over them taskmaster to afflict them with burdens, and they built for Pharaoh treasure cities, Pitom and Ramses. So as well, Baal HaSulam is saying that for the Egyptian, Pitom and Ramses were beautiful cities. They had in them the wisdom, and they fulfilled their, in what we are calling, there will be drawing chokhmah, or drawing wisdom into the will to receive oneself. But for Israel, they were torture, because actually they were the power to draw wisdom. They had the power because they had the connection, and they had the setting from the forefathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, to draw wisdom. But they felt that at the end it makes actually an ugly city, meaning it reveals the will to receive, and they are losing the light. So for anyone who is Egyptian, or has in him the sense of the will to receive to oneself as the law and order of existence, it was a beautiful achievement, like the highest technological achievement of today. But for anyone who has this sense and ability to see that it is actually corrupting more and more parts of the spirit, or the ability to discern between right and wrong, or between what we were meant to be, or we would call it a life worth living. So for them, it was destructive, and therefore they sighed. Okay? So this is the sense of something realizing that whatever was its womb so far becomes its prison. This is a state of affair, and there is no power yet, actually, that can push them or can redeem them from that state. They cannot. They did not have the power to cause birth in themselves. Okay. So something from that state, we understand that something needs to actually break the seal, which is break the concealment, in order for something to be born, something to be born out of the prison that actually the Egyptian civilization built out of the ability that was given to it. Okay. So Egypt is described as actually the kingdom of slavery, not only for the Israelite in it, because the Israelite is a consciousness of slavery, but it was enslaving all of them. There was not an ability to choose or to see at all another option. It is said that no one could escape from Egypt, because on the gates of let's say exit from Egypt, there will be always an animal and a sense of will, of that animalistic part, which is the will to receive to oneself, as a guard was let's say was standing there, and whenever a person wished to cross it, it would sort of call and rise in him the will to receive to oneself that will keep him inside. It's the desire that can keep him inside. Okay. So this is a state, and this state, okay, cause, as I said, the appearance of the first name, which would be the midwife. It's the power, or the female power, or nukba power, that will assist, but they are already with a sense of choice. First time we see that someone is able to free itself from a decree of Pharaoh and to choose a moral choice of not killing, not killing the firstborn, not of the Hebrews and not of the Egyptian. Even if there were Hebrews midwife or not, it's a sense of something is about to be born. But in order to be born, it needs to go out, out of forgetfulness. And therefore, we see that in chapter 2, verse 1, we see that everything that is described about the meeting point of Yocheved and Amram and the birth of the baby, of the child, and the way that his sister is watching him, and the way he was saved. It's in all this very, very important story. There is no names. There's only description of function. So let us hear it. It's like everyone in Egypt forgot the name. There's no consciousness of identity, of a self, of identity of self. So it's, we are reading chapter 2, verse 1. And there went a man of the house of Levi, and took to wife a daughter of Levi, and the woman conceived, no name, and they bare a son, no name. And when she saw him, that he was a godly child, because he saw that he is good, and good in terms of Kabbalah, in terms of the spirit, is that which bestows light. Okay. She hid him 3 months. Okay. So it's in a concealment, state, and when she could not longer hid him, she took for him an ark of, it's called an burness, or something that you cover, and you put actually a cover of black that hides the light, okay, and as well does not allow the water to come in, okay. And this is what and she laid it in the flags by the river brink, and his sister stood afar off to wit that would be done to him. Yet no name so far. In the most important birth and occurrence of, one can say, a redeemer is born. Not only a redeemer is born, it is being translated by the Zohar that and there went a man ish of the house of Levi. This is the spirit coming down to find its vessel, and the outcome of that is a godly child. And what is now the sister of the same house will have to keep, to be a witness and to accompany that, one can say, that outcome. It's the son. So we were going to meet it again, that the importance of the outcome is actually more crucial for our sake from the root or the reason. So each spirit will have to choose for herself to be the cause or to be the outcome. So we can see that which will be explained deeper in the next portion, which is Vaera, that the fathers chose to be, Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov chose to be the cause. Okay. So now there is an outcome which we still don't know, not the names of the father, not the name of the sister, not the name of the mother, not the name of that which is going to actually pull him out of the water. Okay, and when she sent her, and the daughter of Pharaoh, which is not a name, it's a Pharaoh is a function. It's like, and the daughter of the highest king, or the highest wisdom, one could say, and the highest wisdom of the nation at that time, the daughter of it, which it is important because it's the daughter meeting the son. So, and the daughter of Pharaoh came down to wash herself at the river. To wash herself from what? And her maiden walked along with her by the riverside, and when she saw the ark among the flags, she sent her maiden to fetch it. And when she had opened it, she saw the child, and behold, the baby wept. And she had compassion on him, and said, "This is one of the Hebrews' children." Then, because she had compassion, we saw that the decree to actually kill or throw every firstborn was not only for the Hebrews, was as well for the Egyptians. So it is a question, how could she know that it is of the Hebrews? Most probably he was covered, so circumcision was not sin. Okay. And that's first. Second, most of Egypt was circumcised because of Joseph, as we know. So there was no, let's say, outside sign to actually see that this is a child of the Hebrews. So what actually made the daughter of Pharaoh, which is the vessel of wisdom of that time, this is a name, this is what later she would call Batia, the daughter of father and mother, which is a very high name of God, of wisdom connected with Bina, but the daughter of Yah. Now, she doesn't have any name yet. She's the daughter of Pharaoh, the daughter of wisdom. So let's see how actually she is able to discern that this is a child of the Hebrews, and yet to take it, to defy in a way her father's decree and order, and to take him and to adopt him. So we need to read that carefully. And when she had opened it, she saw. So there is the power of wisdom as seeing the child, yet there is no discernment, there is no identification. And behold, the baby wept. So the weeping caused in her compassion, which is a different state than wisdom, than seeing. So Moses caused something different in wisdom. It changed wisdom into compassion. As it changed it into compassion, which is to do with actually the third line. Okay, so we see she's opening it, and she's seeing the child. In Hebrew it says, and behold, not a child, but a young man, or na'ar, meaning that the power of awakening. She's seeing the baby, the power of awakening, crying. And then compassion is vatachmol alav, meaning then compassion is arising in her, conquering wisdom, one can say. ותאמר מילדי העברים, then she's saying, this is the first identity. She's saying, he is one of the Hebrews, okay? One of the, this is one of the Hebrews' children. I'm sort of going with them slowly, because this is in a way prefiguration of everything, of all the processes that Moses will go through, and all Israelite and Egyptian will go together as sorting out in themselves their identity and their choice. So it's happening here already as really a prefiguration of that which is about to occur. Okay. Then said his sister to Pharaoh's daughter, shall I go and call to thee a nurse of the Hebrews women, that she may nurse the child for thee? And Pharaoh's daughter said her, go. And the maid went and called the child's mother. And Pharaoh's daughter said unto her, take this child away and nurse it for me, and I will give thee the wages. And the woman took the child and nursed it. And the child grew. No name so far. Yeah? It's all function and powers that are at play. Yeah? Okay. It means that as well, people the powers are working through them, do not identify themselves as being a vessel of announcement or a vessel of something occur in them, yeah, or through them, one can say. And the child grew, and she brought him in unto Pharaoh's daughter, and he became her son. And now, and she called his name Moses. So this is the first appearance of a name called by Pharaoh's daughter. So Moses is an Egyptian name, but now we have on the Egyptian name a Hebrew commentary. She called his name Moses, and she said, who is she? She, his mother, said, because I drew him out of the water. Okay. And it came to pass in those days when Moses was grown, that he went out unto his brethren. Okay. So it seems, okay. Because if we look at the Hebrew origin, who is calling the name is not clear. The one who is, let's see the scene. The mother of the child is, as she finished to win him, is delivering the baby. Pharaoh's daughter is receiving it. She's saying Moses. It's an Egyptian name, which is basically, as it translates, it's the sun. Not the sun and the moon, my son. Yeah? It's like when Ben. This is how and some people call their sons Ben. Yeah. So this is the meaning of Moses in ancient Egyptian. Now, it means that someone that draws Moshe, someone needs to know Hebrew, not Egyptian, to say, I was drawing him out of the water. Yeah. So it seems that on the name, or the identity of that son that now the daughter of Pharaoh is adopting, he's sort of delivered with an Hebrew commentary. This is why it is clear this commentary allows to understand the continuation. And it came to pass in those days when Moses was grown that he went out unto his brethren. How did he know that they are his brethren? And looked on their burdens. So inside, one can say, his name, what was planted, is the commentary of his name, not in Egyptian, but in Hebrew. So he's growing with these two identities that need to be sorted out. And it's very similar to the way that the family or the house of Jacob is going down into Egypt to sort out their identity and the identity of Egypt. Or if one can say, to start the mission in reforming all wills to receive to themselves by actually sorting out the identity of their mission in Egypt. Okay, so this is sort of how we enter through the spirit and the consciousness, the beginning of that, the state of concealment, how the state of concealment will be the cause of revelation. So if Genesis or Bereshit is revelation, is the cause of concealment, one can say that Shemot or Exodus, one will say that concealment will become the cause of revelation. Yeah? So this is how it meets together. So this is sometimes why the book of Exodus is called the second book, yeah, in ancient time.